Hey guys, welcome back. Long time no see. I'm meteorologist Mike Prianti. I'm joined with Brad Miller and Mike Mahalik. And yeah, the calendar says April, guys, but the graphic here says April snow. Can you believe it?
Ah, say it ain't
Uh,
snow.
I know.
Ah,
I don't know if maybe there's people out there who want to see the April snow. I mean, I'm sure
uh,
there are.
I'm sure
Yeah,
there are a few people like some certain employees at the office. One in particular, which I won't name, but who loves snow.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure if he wasn't working, he'd be driving up to porches into the Catskills or up into the Berkshires or something to go get a couple of pictures.
Right, guys, but really, yeah, no, this is no fooling. Obviously, it's on April 1st; it's April 14th, and we are looking at some snow, possibly for areas of New England. And we'll show you
hmm
what can happen and what's probably not likely with these setups. So, no, don't be alarmed. We'll walk you through this. So,
yeah. So social media has already had a field day with this one. I mean, this is your true definition of an elevation inland snow, and we're going to go through it. But again, it's not out of the ordinary. It does snow in April, but just need the right the right recipe.
So we'll dive in here. We'll take a look at the GFS first and foremost. This is the most recent run, which actually has made a few changes, and we'll point those out. But this is about Thursday, middle part of the day. Notice our low pressure system is actually starting to get going here off the waters. It starts to kind of get picked up by this big old upper level low. It starts to kind of wrap up. Notice there are some blues getting popped up here in the very high elevations, and eventually cold air starts to sink down into the Berkshires, and if you notice, it goes
Mhm.
right into the Connecticut River Valley. So, Mike, I mean, this is definitely going to be something interesting for Connecticut, but also for parts of Massachusetts and maybe Rhode Island too.
Yeah, and the thing with this storm is that we don't have a whole lot of cold air here to work with. And what's going to happen is when this low pops there off of Long Island and Cape Cod, it's going to have to kind of, we like to say, generate its own cold air. But really, what's happening is that it's evaporative cooling that's happening on the backside, and then that dynamic cooling gets enough cold air into the low levels of the atmosphere where you start getting snow to fall, and that's why it's a lot of the times elevation dependent here, because the higher you are up, the closer you are to that colder cloud base. Um, so that's what's going on here. We're going to have intense precipitation, really good snowfall rates here in order to get this snow to stick.
Most areas are going to be between 35 and 40 degrees for the duration of this event.
Mhm.
Even in New England, yeah, it'll snow. It's just not going to do much. But like Mike said, when you get those intense rates, it can bring that cold air down. And yeah, maybe you snow for a couple of hours at 31 or 32 degrees, and that's where
Mhm.
you get your accumulation.
And Brad, you're definitely right. I have on screen here temperatures from the GFS. Just take a look at that. 30s. You only have the couple of 32s in the higher elevations, so you really need that dynamic cooling when the cold air gets pulled down from the storm to really start to get the snow to rip. But again, the ground's been so warm, and this is going to be coming in early in the morning, closer, more so snowing maybe even to late morning, midday. So in terms of any accumulation on pavements and that sort of thing, it's going to be tough, honestly. You're really going to need to get those really heavy rates, and maybe highest elevations are going to have that potential. And we'll show just one few more models here, other solutions. For example, this is the Euro, which is a little bit more warm on the warmer side of things, and has a little low, a little farther north and west. So notice Boston, places east, all rain, maybe some
Mhm.
snow getting into the Connecticut Valley, all snow in the Berkshires and up into Vermont and New Hampshire. But then rain starts coming in, warmer air comes off the ocean,
Right.
and then it just ends up being rain.
I was going to say it's just, a lot of these areas in New England even are going to be fighting the warm air, like you said, Mike, coming off the Atlantic with that east wind. And granted, it's April, the water is still cool, but it's not January anymore either. So, it's going to have trouble with that rain snow line. It's probably going to penetrate pretty far inland, but it will hit a wall eventually, and then that's where you're going to get your snow across the elevations, and especially into inland Mass and New Hampshire, Vermont, and things like that.
Yeah.
Right.
And parts of Connecticut too. We got to keep Mike into the mix too. He
Yeah.
likes forecasting for Connecticut.
Connecticut's usually my zone, but yeah, I mean, the thing we got to watch here in Connecticut, if we want to get real specific a little bit, is that there's only going to be a short window where you're going to be able to see those good snowfall rates. Maybe it's like a midnight or so, through about 7 a.m. in the morning. By that time, by 7 a.m. on Friday, you're looking at that low starting to lift a little bit north. You're getting some dry air pulled into the system too. So while it's getting colder, we're also going to lose some intensity. And that's a big deal here. Once we lose intensity, that pavement accumulation is going to be non-existent. It'll probably even start melting back, even if it is snowing at the time. But looks like for Connecticut, sweet spot is basically Litchfield County. And as you get close to the Massachusetts border, where you have some elevations that are over 1,000 feet, where they could get some possibly 3 to 6 inch amounts close to that area.
Yeah, elevation is going to be really the determining factor with this. Even like folks like Albany and up towards Saratoga Springs, I mean, yeah, they'll probably change over to snow, but it's going to be what we call just white rain. It's not going to accumulate.
Mm-hmm.
However, when you get into the elevations around those areas, and especially up towards like, the Adirondacks and the Catskills, and like Mike was saying earlier, that's where you're going to start getting that accumulation. Personally, I think that southern Vermont, western Mass, I think those elevations there, that's you're going to get that upslope around there. I think that's going to be the bonus area, if you will, for this one.
Yeah, and I'm sure you probably see on social media those, we like to call them clown maps, because sometimes they look like, all the colors like a clown. But this is a little more realistic map, although it might still be a little bit overdone. But still, it shows kind of what the positive snow depth is, so what would actually accumulate. And as you see here, the GFS, really, other than like the lighter blues here that's showing like 1 to 2 inches, everything else is kind of more just under an inch. Maybe you see some mixed snows, but then you go into the elevations, like you said, and you get those pinks and purples. That's more like 4 to 6 inches. So it's definitely possible.
And one thing about the GFS run that we were just showing, it brings that accumulating snow line a little bit too close to eastern Massachusetts. So I think there's going to be a little bit too much maritime influence in order to get that real heavy accumulating snow. Basically past the Worcester Hills there. But some models are going pretty heavy with this, like the NAM. I don't want you to key on the NAM though.
Yeah, this is what the NAM is showing, Mike. Yeah.
Yeah, the NAM is showing a lot of snow, even for the Hartford River Valley, right around Connecticut River Valley.
Right.
I'll get corrected on that, I'm sure. But Hartford metro area there, I mean, you're not going to see 6+ inches of snow like the NAM is showing right there. I think that's highly unlikely. I think it's going to be in the hills to the west where you could see those higher amounts.
Definitely a nice little treat, or even like a nightmare. Depends on how you look at it here. It's April 14th. I'm sure we've had our nice warm days. We said goodbye to winter, and unfortunately, we have a little surprise here. So, but of course, places will be seeing snow, and other places will just be seeing rain. So depends on where you are in New England. But either way, definitely probably one of the last events. Hopefully, fingers crossed here, guys, that we don't see something.
We'll be up here next Wednesday. Don't worry, we'll have another one.
I'm about done. So
hey, and don't forget, people who won't see snow will see a lot of rain, 1 to 2 inches of rain.
That's true.
So don't forget about that. It could be some poor drainage flooding.
Thanks for watching our video here. As always, you can always follow us on social media. We're on all the platforms. And if you haven't heard, we have had a couple of podcast episodes. Make sure you search The Weather Lounge on any podcasting platform that you follow. We've had a couple of nice ones, actually, and some very special guests coming up in the future. So you want to make sure that you follow us so you don't miss out on some great episodes coming up. And as always, here on YouTube, subscribe, give us a like, let us know how we're doing, and at weatherworksinc.com, and we'll hopefully see you sometime soon.